Rob G, get in here until we can get Rob P in the place. But the big news of the day there's a few things that are big, but one of the big things, of course, is the situation at Michigan. And we've been, little stuff's been trickling out and news coming out for the last few weeks. And now, after the University of Michigan suspended Jim Harbaugh last week for 3 games, which would be the last 3 games of the regular season in the Big Ten, would be Penn State, who they beat without Harbaugh, and then Maryland this weekend, and after that, of course, the big showdown with Ohio State. And that certainly one of those, the winner of that will likely head to the college football playoff, assuming they take care of business next weekend or this weekend. And so that's a huge game. Jim Harbaugh, the suspension had him unable to coach his team for the last 2 games and the last 3, including this past weekend. And he can coach during the week. So he's running practices and everything just like usual. But he has decided, at first he was going to appeal, right? Try to get his name cleared and try to fight the suspension. And now today it was announced by Michigan that Harbaugh would accept the suspension, drop his appeal, and in his mind, certainly, hopefully coach them in the college football playoff if they beat Ohio State and Maryland. Rob G, what are your thoughts?
I'll tell you what, I think when this news first came down, the big conversation on social media, at least, was one of 2 parties. One, which was good on Michigan, good on Jim Harbaugh for dropping this appeal, because when you get in a situation like this where it involves the integrity of the game and you have 2 very large entities going at it, it's not good for anybody, because both sides are going to end up saying something or unveiling something that is just going to make things even worse. So that's number one. The other camp was, so they must have Jim Harbaugh dead to rights. That everything that we think we knew about this investigation, there's much more. It's only the tip of the iceberg. And I tend to fall in that second camp. I believe that Jim Harbaugh and his attorneys at Michigan, when they decided to do this appeal, they were basing it off of the information which was already made public, which had been reported by ESPN, CBS, The Athletic, Fox Sports, pick your favorite outlet. But when you get to the TRO, the restraining order edition, and you want to appeal the ruling, you're going to get the full scope of everything that they have to determine whether or not this is going to be upheld. And I think when they got a view as to what the Big Ten actually had, they decided, you know what, this suspension, quote unquote, that I'm dealing with, really not that big of a deal. It's
really isn't that.
I'm only missing game day. I'm doing all the installs. I'm working with my players during the week. Let me just take this 3 games. I think we can win without me being there. Even if we don't, who's to say the College Football Playoff Committee is going to keep us out of the Final Four, given that I'm not there to begin with? So let's just take these 3 games, save some face, and move on.
Well, yeah, I think, look, there is a possibility. There are only 4 undefeated teams in the country: Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and Florida State. And so if Michigan were to lose to Ohio State, say it's a good game, it's a close game, and Harbaugh obviously isn't there, maybe the committee does look at that and say, well, they still only have 1 loss like just about everybody else in the nation. Their coach wasn't there. Maybe we let him in. I tend to agree with you, Rob G. And now, thank you for that, Rob G. We do have Rob Parker. Finally got things settled with his technology.
Rob Parker.
Welcome, Rob. Good to have you in. We're talking
What's
about
happening, Chris? How are you?
I'm great. We're talking about the Michigan situation. And I tend to agree with Rob G. I don't know if you heard him, but that there probably is more that they don't want to come out. And maybe not even just related to this. It could be all type. Who knows what type of information, Rob, comes out in a case like this, right? Stuff that wasn't even out there to begin with, but it is revealed as the parties go back and forth and things like that. It also, in the best case scenario, I guess the Pollyannish view is that, they realize, hey, it's a distraction at the very least, is a distraction to the players. It's going to make it, if we keep fighting this, it's going to make it harder for them to beat Ohio State. So let's just stay out of it and let them hopefully win these next 2 games from their viewpoint, and we can get in the college playoff and I'll be back. But I think he just like, I'll take this. Because, Rob, this really is very much a slap on the wrist. And maybe it just speaks to that they don't feel like this is such a huge issue. But missing these 3 games and still being able to coach them during the week, and you'll be able to coach them if they make the college football playoff, just missing these 3 games when you're not an OC or a DC, you don't call the plays, it's really not that big of a deal. So he might feel like he's getting off.
Well, where was all that with all the hubbub? And Chris, what's happening? I can't buy into the idea that after all the huffing and puffing and we didn't do anything and let's go to court and all that, now all of a sudden it's okay? Like seriously, if you wanted to clear your name or you really feel like you didn't do anything wrong and you wanted to have your day, they were trying to get a stay of the ruling, right? They were trying to get a stay from the court, Chris. They were going on a Saturday morning, hoping that they could get a judge who was a Michigan fan to buy into what they were saying and what they were selling. It just doesn't feel good to me. It feels phony. If you were really innocent, why is that assistant coach gone? It sounds like, why did he have to resign? And now you say to yourself, why in the world is Jim Harbaugh all of a sudden bowing out? Maybe because he knows deep down that maybe they have more and he doesn't want to go any further than this. Like he put up a stink, but he doesn't want to go any further, Chris, because he'll be embarrassed and it'll be worse if they continue.
Absolutely. Most people do that. Remember the entanglement with with Will Smith and Jada and August Alsina? At first, it was all a lie. Right? It was all what? Come on, please.
It's a lie. Nothing's true. None of it's true. Right.
And then later on, they admit, yeah, it was real. I mean, that's what people do. I don't know if they think they're going to convince some people or they think it might just fade away like that. But this wasn't fading away, and you were going to have to face your day in court, so to speak. And like you said, who knows what would have come out. And I will just say this, Rob. If I'm accused of something that really puts my integrity into question, right, which this does. This absolutely does. Because it's saying you're a cheater. I'm sorry. I'm fighting it if I'm not guilty.
I'm with you 100%.
Right?
Nobody's resigning. Nobody on my staff is resigning, Chris. If honestly we haven't done anything wrong, there's no reason for all that. There's no reason.
He clearly, the assistant stallion clearly did something wrong. There is a theory. I heard a few players throwing this around, Rob, and I don't know. I guess it's plausible on some level, but that if Michigan knew what Stallion was doing, sometimes they might purposely keep the head coach out of the loop so that he truly does not know. So if anything ever comes out, he can honestly be like, I have no idea.
See,
now that sounds plausible on one level, but what I think, Rob, is at some point you have to go to Harbaugh beforehand and be like, look, coach, we're going to be getting information. We're going to have great intel. Don't ask us where it came from. We're just doing our jobs. We're going to provide ourselves with the best intel for our team, and it's going to help. Don't ask us about it, right? But even that, to me, would indict Harbaugh or whoever the head coach was.
Chris, that's I'm with you. I've heard that line of thinking.
Right.
And the problem is, if you're Jim Harbaugh and the intel is working, Chris, you would say, where'd we get that from? Oh my God, who's scouting them? Like you would, the same way that if your intel's bad, who scouted this team?
Right. Right.
We got to do. I want a different scout. Okay.
Well,
we don't. So the idea
right.
that you don't want to know where the information is coming from, good or bad, is BS. You know what I mean? Because you would want to know.
Along with the, I don't know. If you go along with the, okay, I won't ask anything, but you see how well it's working, then the implication is, it's something untoward going on. You know what I'm saying, Rob?
Right.
Like if our ratings shot through the roof and we were like to Rob G, what is going on? Like, what? And Rob G, just don't ask, don't worry about it.
Right.
Wait, we're either gonna push it like, nah, man, for real, what is going on?
What's happening here?
Or it becomes understood that, okay, you don't want to know, but it's working, right? Like, you believe me, guys, you don't want to know. It's better that you don't know. Just be happy it's working.
Right.
And
Alex is working an extra.
Now we're a part of it.
Alex
now
is
we're a
working
part of it.
An extra 8 hours, acting like he's individual downloads to be able to get us to 3 million. You know what I mean? Like
right. I mean,
going on.
But once we don't push it, but obviously to get us off of that track, there'd have to be a wink, wink, something like a look, man, just let it go. Just be glad that it's working, right? Now, all of a sudden, even though we don't know, we're a part of it. And I think that's where Jim Harbaugh is, if indeed that were even the case. But I just think they know, Rock, because like we said, the bottom line is that if your integrity is put into question, and if you're a coach, the last thing, I mean, I don't know if it's the last thing.
But you don't want that hanging over your head. I want to be exonerated.
You don't want to be viewed as a cheater. Right.
And then down the road, when they do your legacy, Chris, or the Hall of Fame, they could hold that against you. Like sometimes that could be held against you. And I don't know why you would want that. Oh, yeah, your dad did win a championship at Michigan, but you remember it was after that cheating scandal.
Right.
You know, like that's the way it would look.
How do you talk to your kids about doing the right thing? Talk to your team, your players about doing the right thing if all of this is hanging over your head. So